Whether it's work, school, or maybe another attraction shooter, there are many reasons you may have fallen behind this wipe. For a lot of people, they feel as though once they fall behind, they can't catch up at all, or that everyone's gear is better than theirs, so what's the point? You know, they're at such a disadvantage, it doesn't even matter. In my opinion, it's never too late to catch up. You just need to know what to do. And from my 2,000 plus hours of experience, as well as 3 prestiges, I'll explain my tips to catching up and how I plan to do it because I am behind this wipe as well. So my number one tip is going to be to still focus on these side quests. Even though they're called side quests, the main story quests don't really give you any rewards or any trader rep or any XP. And that's going to be how you get more trader levels and kind of be able to buy better equipment to bring into raid. So doing these, you know, these old like legacy quests, so to say, is going to be really important. And it's going to really help you level up your traders so you can buy better gear. So hand in hand with that is if we go to proper level 2, we can see that he sells SP5, which is actually a pretty solid bullet. This bullet is actually really strong because you can pair it with a VSK. And if you kind of mod this out pretty cheaply just by adding a EKP on it, you can have a pretty low recoil suppressed gun that works really well in close range. You know, it does a lot of damage. You can see the ergo is still pretty good at 51. And it's got no recoil pretty much. So I like to run this gun early game because it's, you know, pretty affordable. It comes suppressed and it does really solid damage with proper level 2, you know, having access to SP5. Now at proper level 2, you also unlock PST, which on the surface it doesn't look good because it has only 20 pen and 54 damage. But if you go to Peacekeeper level 2, which is a bit harder to unlock, but once you unlock him, he sells a Uzi Pro, which is really strong. It's really strong because you just toss on a 32 round magazine. It has almost 1,100 rounds per minute fire rate, which is super fast. It's got almost no recoil, and you just toss on your favorite red dot sight. I think the cheapest one, the one that's most accessible, is probably going to be the EKP again. And you've got a pretty ready to bring into raid. This is great for factory or even customs if you play close range in something like dorms for a lot of those early quests. I really enjoy this gun just because if you look at the stats, I mean, I don't even have a foregrip or anything or a stock. I have 76 ergo and a 59 vertical recoil, which is like nothing almost. If you pair this with PST, you're just going to melt through armor anyways, just based on the rate of fire. So it doesn't really matter. Also, once you complete Jaeger's task, Tarkov Shooter Part 3, you can craft APM ammo, which is really strong. It's going to pen tier 4 because it's 42 pen and it has 90 flesh damage. So on tier 3 armor where there's no damage reduction, it's actually going to one-shot people in the thorax at close range. This is really strong in something like the Vepr, which is basically a semi-auto AK. And if you just pop some APM into this, once you can craft it, it's, you know, really viable. Now in terms of armor, I would recommend rushing to level 17 because you can start this quest called Audit from Ragman, and this allows you to buy the Flora 6B13 armor, which is level 4 and has level 2 soft armor underneath. It is a bit heavy, but you can buy out every reset and it's, you know, pretty affordable. And just having that access to tier 4 armor every time you kit up is going to be super helpful. I would also recommend AFKing Twitch drops for the rest of this week. I think they're going on to the 28th of November, and they give good gear and barter items. You know, I barely played this wipe so far, and I have a ton of armor, as you can see, and I've got even more Twitch drops that I still haven't opened yet. I've just been, you know, leaving it on my TV or my iPad in the background. So another reason to progress your traders is that on proper level 3, he has 3 new rigs that take Western style plates, and they have good neck protection, which is still really important, even with thorax neck hitbox change. They are a bit pricey, but they kind of have these weird slots that kind of help you bring like a grizzly or other items. And like I said, having that tier 3 neck protection is super helpful at, you know, like getting rid of those annoying deaths that you might have. Now, along with the main game traders, I would still recommend leveling up Ref, as the ruble and GP coin transfer is still really powerful, and he sells good armor and guns still. Obviously, you can buy the 50 rounder for Gunsmith Part 3, which is super helpful. And then if you go down, he sells this armor. I think you have to level up the battle house a bit, but it has tier 4 plates, and it has it's only 62 GP coins, which is pretty affordable compared to another tier 4 armor, which is 130 GP coins. He also sells some pretty solid guns. They're kind of overpriced. I wouldn't buy many of them. This SKS, I do think it works for one of the gunsmiths though. Now moving on to tips that can help you inside of a raid, I would say always insure all of your gear. And the reason you want to do this is that when you kill someone, you can immediately drop all your stuff in a bush and pretty much bag a small win even if you die. When I'm consistently playing Tarkov, it gets to a point where I can just kit up from my insurance and I never even have to buy armor or guns or anything like that, just because I have so much gear in my insurance that I've frauded. Now, another in-raid tip is to loot good ammo spots. So one of these is going to be USEC camp on woods. Another is going to be over on streets. It doesn't show up on this map because it's a bit dated, but there's an MBD key right here on the right side where I'm wiggling my mouse. That is super important. That has a lot of good ammo spawns. I often find like 7.62 by 5.4 or 5.45 ammo spawns, which is really helpful to kind of supplement my ammo throughout the wipe. And then another spot I like are the pawn buildings on reserve. I find good ammo on the beds or in the rooms on this, especially on the key room. I think on this building, Black Pawn, as well as in the bunker, I find good ammo on reserve. So those are some spots to check for good ammo, especially 5.45 this wipe. I think 5.45 ammo is going to be really strong this wipe, as there's a couple new guns. I mean, just look at this one. This one has 62.5 ergo and 63 vertical recoil, which are both really strong, and it's got no attachments on it whatsoever. So this is before a suppressor, this is before a grip, and before a sight, before a pistol grip, and before a stock. So it is completely a base gun, and it has these really strong stats. So I think once you kind of mod these out and add just a few attachments, you're gonna have a really strong gun that shoots 5.45 BP or BS or even Igolnik ammo that's gonna kind of rip through armor if you can find it in raid. Now, another important tip is to just take small wins. I think a lot of people forget that you can always just come back to a map. You can just reset really quick after you kill a couple people, bank that stuff, and bank as many wins as you can so that when you do die in this game, which is inevitable, you have more loot and gear to fall back on. Because I found when you have to buy a whole new kit every single time you die, it's really annoying and frustrating, versus you already have gear to fall back on and you can just kit up really quickly and get ready for the next fight. Something that goes hand in hand with my last tip is that it's always important to bring a green flare and rubles so you have as many extracts open to you as possible. So now that Interchange has a green flare extract, bringing a green flare opens up bonus extracts on ground zero, woods, streets, customs, and Interchange. And oftentimes these green flare extracts are not camped as much, or they're not ratted as much as most normal extracts, and it's super easy to get out because there's just less foot traffic in that area. Using these is super important, and it helps my survival rate go way up throughout the wipe. Now, thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful at all, I'd really appreciate a subscribe, as 97.6% of you guys are not currently subscribed. So it would really help me out, and I'd really appreciate it.